Okay, morning, everybody. We're here for the summer nights public works meeting.
It's not something.
Hey, is it?
Friday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah. Now go through the night, now I never changed it. All right, the 13th.
Getting you on the page.
In
the following year too.
Yeah.
A whole nother year.
I do what I hurry, so. This morning, we're going to, oh, hey, everybody, come on in. You're fine.
You know.
I've been speaking with RGE or NISAC about street lighting. I've been for that one showing, I'll show up, I know most of it off the top of my head. They've been recently have came out with a program that we've been trying to do for many years in the town to help save energy costs with the intersection lights. Now, these are only intersection lights, they're not for 332, they're not for anything decorative.
This is for existing.
It's for existing. And it's nothing decorative, it's only for the Cobra head lights you see at your intersections. And as I said, we've been trying for a long time to make this economical for the town to make happen. So I tried again earlier, late last year, early this year with getting numbers together for us to discuss. And we're at a point now where easily round numbers is we spend $4,700 to buy out the last remaining life expectancy of the Cobra heads. And in return, we'll have a $2,700 cost savings to us annually. So it's a 1.7 payback in order to start receiving those savings. In a nutshell, that's what it comes down to. There are 74 locations of various lighting, like wattage, throughout the town that we currently have. And this program probably wouldn't start till 2024 at the earliest. I think it's about a year to go through getting all paperwork done, a company lined up, parts ordered and installed.
But you guys know what Cobra heads are, because I didn't miss her.
They're just the standard.
Okay, so John, when you look up, I'm sure look up an intersection light, they call it a Cobra head because it flares out from the stem, looks like a cobra's head.
Yeah.
That's what they call a Cobra head light. And part of what we're all trying to do is high pressure sodium metal halide bulbs are few and far between, they're not making them. So, and when you do find them, they're expensive. So they're all converting to LED is what we're trying to go to. And it's a pretty significant savings energy wise for the town annually that could compound over many years.
So is this like similarly to the lights they put in at Middle Cheshire and 5 and 20?
No, those are signal lights there. These would be if you were to pull up to
Street lights.
street, like at the end of Butler and 16, you come down Butler Road, it's lit. It's a light up on that pole. It's an orange color.
Yeah.
That would be right there. And that's what we look at.
Okay,
So they-
I mean, the street lights.
Yes, that's what it's treated.
Correct.
That's not.
So that way there, we would replace those. Well, not us. RGE would replace them for the town.
And we have how many of them?
72. So there's a list. I include the list with the information.
So Jim, currently, if you have a bulb go bad on one of those, what do? You try to replace it or replace it with an LED?
So we can't replace it with an LED because here's what happens. We don't then get the energy savings because we could convert everything to LED. The problem is there's 6 different, they call them SC charges, and with NISAC and RGE, each one's a different charge. Or an SC1, which means they own the light, they charge us for the power. We do sometimes change the bulb if they're late getting there to do it, we'll go out and do it for them because we get people asking. But if the fixture itself is bad, like the ballast is bad, or the starter is bad, or the wiring's burned up, we just let them fix it, we don't touch it.
So who incurs the cost of that, of bulb replacement? Did you say?
RG&E.
So we have nothing to do with that, then we just take the charge and that's it.
We just take the electric charge, we just
Right,
pay for
right,
energy.
right, got it.
Yeah. We,
So it's really a partnership, if they are owning everything and we're just trying to reduce the cost of anything they're paying on it.
correct, what we're doing is, we're gonna buy out the remaining 1.77 years or left expectancy of.
So there's two initiatives here, it's the buyout and the conversion.
Mhm.
Okay, so we buy out all the streetlights. Okay, and we convert them, or they'll convert them, or
They will.
at some point it'll be converted to LED. Okay,
Correct.
understood.
But it's a long process, just to
Yeah.
get through all the paperwork.
It
Okay,
doesn't take long to do it.
so. With that being said, I would like to present it at the next town board meeting, or maybe February's board meeting, we'll see, we'll figure out. If I can present it to the board to approve to move forward with this agreement with RGD on converting the street lighting to LEDs.
Any negative to LEDs?
Other than if one goes out, it just goes out, it doesn't
The whole thing,
cycle,
Right, yeah,
it's not dim.
right,
It just goes out.
Right.
So,
Are these the numbers we're talking about, Jim? $4,800 with a $2,700 per year saving,
yes,
Mhm.
with a payback 1.77 years?
correct.
That seems like a home run to me.
It does seem like, yeah,
So
I
we
agree.
talked about this before, we were all pretty clear, it sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, it's-
That's why you've been waiting for this to happen.
Well, I think at the beginning we were, RGD wanted several tens of thousands, I do, it was just due to the lifespan of some of the fixtures still.
Yeah.
So now we're in a position where we waited long enough to
Mhm.
make it economical for the town to do so. And this is something we can discuss at the 23 budget to pay for in 24, because
And what's the motivation, waiting for February to discuss it?
no, I wasn't sure what's on the agenda or if I had enough time to get things organized for it to go on the agenda, so
Okay,
it's just something I had to get organized.
so balls in your court.
Yeah, it is.
I think so, I'm right.
yeah.
Can we add a light at the same time? Or no? As I
We
know,
can, now there's a cost occurs with that, so we have to ask the town board to approve a cost to install one.
I know St. John, Middle Cheshire, people have asked for a light. St. James, sorry.
Oh, yes, that may go back on the developer, we should review that before we ask the request, because I believe.
I think they're converting it to a pretty soon.
I believe there was supposed to be an intersection
I think so,
right there.
It was, you know,
Yeah, I'm thinking
So,
a review.
we'll have to review those plans again, but yes.
yeah, okay. Just wanted
Okay.
Mhm.
So that's what threw me earlier, you call them intersection like.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
Yeah, yeah,
John.
That, no, that's
Yeah.
right, it just.
Took me a minute to,
Yes,
I was
yes,
like, let's
further.
define them.
They're at the interface.
They're at the intersections, I call, yeah, so I apologize.
No.
Um,
So Jim, we'd be buying out all 74 lights?
yes,
Okay.
there's a
You said
list,
something about the
Yeah,
remainder.
on the,
Okay,
there's a list here, so the remainder, is like 332. There's no program for them, Fox Ridge is not a program from them, or them lights,
they're all decorative.
Like you and I met with Rob Richardson, it's a different program.
different program.
Different program, yeah.
Yeah,
These are just the intersection,
These are just-
74 lights,
correct.
Yeah,
buy them out, we come to towns, convert them. Once they're converted, though, Dave, I guess we have the maintenance responsibility. right?
No, they still are maintained, but we're just paying less energy cost.
everything remains the way it is right now.
Remains the way it is
Except-
now.
Except we have, no.
No, we
No,
don't.
we got that's what I was-
We're buying out the life expectancy.
Oh.
So there's new life expectancy to these, yeah.
You know.
No, that's.
So
Yeah.
we'll still have the energy bill, but they still maintain them. We'll just pay for the energy.
Just LEDs versus whatever they are now, so right. And the cost associated was $2,800, we pay back in 1.7 years,
Right,
it seems like a win all the way around.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep,
No, I
yeah.
definitely agree with you, LEDs being more efficient, they don't have to be changed as often.
no.
allegedly.
Dark sky compliant.
You know,
Dark sky.
Everything's dark sky compliant and we've actually, it's. Instead of buying LEDs, we've been taking these lights here down to, we found a place in Geneva called Geneva Electric and we get the drivers repairing them. For like $20. You just put them back in. That's what usually goes bad as a driver,
Mhm.
whatever that computer processor that makes them light.
Sure, yeah.
We just been doing that lately,
Good,
so,
I'm on board.
okay. Next thing is update on County Road 28 sanitary sewer. What'd you bring today, Greg?
Russ and that's.
Okay,
Hang on real quick, are you guys still familiar with? County Road
No.
28?
Okay.
So maybe we can go back.
all right. So.
All right, so
Go ahead, Greg.
we've had some meetings with the county, and then we've been kind of digging into the overall project. But then in great. Oh, yeah, sorry, this new piece here.
Yeah.
So this is.
No, no, these.
County Road 28, that's Risner, Emerson's up here, over here, right, and then this is,
That's Candlewood Park.
Yeah, Tartine Drive. That's what I was looking for. So from the original district, we had people down here in the districts. We had to bring gravity sewer all the way down to those people. And there was only like 3 homes. And well, technically there's 5 parcels, one's vacant, one is a storage facility with no bathrooms. So there's only 3 homes. Then I had to run almost 1,500 feet of sewer, so that was like, give or take $150,000 to $200,000 in the sewer that I would have to put in for 3 homes. So we worked with the county, and we said we'd like to make this as the most economical we can. So they allowed us to kind of truncate this. Some of the things that we kind of figured when we're going through the process is that once we started looking at the actual sewer layout, was the previous.
And I'm gonna forget even further back, so. They're basically, we're planning to use some of our ARPA funds toward expanding the sewer that does not exist on County Road 28. And they get charged per unit, there's a whole charge process for how many bills and connect with the sewer. We have to send out petitions and everything for them to agree with what they want to do. But this is about halfway along the process. Sorry, please go ahead.
The residents have or have not yet,
Further back, it's in the sewer master plan.
Exactly. It's in the sewer management plan.
so the residents have or have not yet approved it.
It has not been formally approved yet. You have to go through a map plan and report phase.
We haven't had
the
public hearings on it, but
Yeah.
we're residents, so the majority of us have been favored of the person.
Yeah,
But they haven't had the numbers to give them fully yet, so he's got to dial all this down before he can give them a number for them to finally sign it.
I need to get to a point where the county says, yes, that's okay. Because otherwise, I can say this works, and then the county says, well, you have to do this, then.
County okay with the design.
Yeah, the preliminary, that's what I'm saying, yeah, of our approach, right,
The
so.
county has to approve all the sewer
So
extensions.
can I ask a question? They've done the engineer report?
We're starting, we're starting, we're getting close to the end here, so we're, let's have a preliminary engineering report, the map plan report to figure it out, but my point was. When we did this initially, we thought we could just serve this triangle and then run down, but once you get into the nitty gritty and you try to figure out like, running laterals out to houses, and that's kind of gives you a better guide as to the depth of the actual sewer. It set the pump station low enough where we could actually pick up a few more homes going down Emerson in either direction, so.
And this was driven deeper because this elevation was higher. Right, Greg?
Lower than.
What we expected,
That's
so
what I'm saying.
when we lowered this sewer out here, this allowed these homes up here to get involved.
Because we had to take the first floor elevation and then subtract about 4.5 feet, so, and that basically establishes what we would consider the minimum depth, right? So we can always make something deeper to get the laterals deeper as well, but there's a cost to do that, so.
Orient me again, because you switch the
It's-
things.
This is the.
So that's so County Road 28,
Okay,
Rizzer, Emerson.
We
Yeah,
can't
332.
connect Emerson back to 332, correct? It's not.
No, it's, there's just sagging through here.
Mhm.
Well, I think they got a pump station over on Firehouse Road, don't they?
There's a pump station over here,
Right.
yeah.
So,
So this is the pump station. So one of the things the county asked is if we would consider going cross lots to here. Versus running our force main down to the gravity sewer. It's shorten up the force main, which is good. The bad part of that is just. There's a couple things. One, there's a high point out here. We'd have to have a air release manhole. Which which means the county would more than likely want to have access to it, which means we'd have to build a road to get to that high point. So then just costs there that like, you know, it's not really stated just yet.
Where are we, what? what's the-
This would be the uptown development.
Yeah, I know, I'm just, oh, these are lot lines.
Yeah, lot lines. And he's got this drawn wrong, so I put it on the, I told him to put it on the uptown, because I was like, we can just gonna need, but it's not that, it's just the other side of that property.
The other downside there that we have to pay attention to is all of uptown comes in gravity to this force main.
Mhm.
And then you've got Acustos is gonna be discharging 1,000,000 gallons a day into that force main plus uptown lane.
Well, so the second bad thing I was gonna say is kind of what Doug was saying, is that, you know, it's not really desirable to pump to a pump station. Partly because when you pump to a pump, or sorry, when you pump sewage. You take something that has a diurnal curve for the flow pattern of sewage, right, that comes to a point of interest. But when you pump it, it's based off of whatever that pump rate is. So, you know, you take something that's natural by gravity, then you basically have to block it in mechanical chunks because you're sending down the force main. This pump would discharge somewhere around the 200 gallons a minute range. So, I mean, even though that the peak hourly flow is way less than 200 gallons per minute, now that pump station has to eat that 200 gallon a minute flow. So that takes away capacity from this pump station. And, but not the order of magnitude of the district, the order of magnitude of the pump. 10 states requires us to design the force main with a minimum of 2 feet per second. So when you get into like a 6-inch force main, you have to pump 200 gallons a minute. Normally your pump stations are designed around your peak hourly flow, but there's certain things where like there's governances where like you can get to certain minimums and then you're like, well, you know, we're stuck here. So there's the downside is that, you know, you're gonna have a pump station that will probably cycle relatively quickly, which isn't bad, but it's, you know, it is extra wear and tear on pumps to do that. But again, like I was saying, is now instead of this being, you know, theoretically 120 gallon a minute peak hourly flow, it's now 200 gallon a minute peak hourly flow. That delta 80 gallons per minute is a number of EDUs.
Is a number of what?
Equivalent dwelling units, EDUs, like it's a sewer units.
Every house.
So
Is an ADU.
I'm, you know, while this is an interesting idea, I'm not really that in favor of it, just because of those two items.
So to dumb it down for me. The pump station that you're talking about closest to you, 200 gallons a minute.
This is an existing pump station. It was
Right.
just recently upgraded,
But
but
I'm
it
talking
basically
about-
handles the whole area up here.
Right. But it won't handle the 200 gallons a minute.
No, it will.
Yeah.
No, it will.
But
It's
the
just-
limiting
but you have to take that 200 gallons
Right.
a minute or 200 gallons per minute
When it comes, you gotta take.
capacity
Right.
away from this area,
Yeah.
because now you're taking this area
Right.
into that.
Right, so the limiting factor is the current pump station.
Not, I mean, not really. It's less desirable to pump to a pump station. In Victor. You know, people have heard about the numerous issues up there. It's exactly this scenario where they pump to a pump station, that pump station pumps to another pump station. And it's just, you know, again, if you understand, it's just like a compounding issue because you're always sending you're sending pump rates, not peak hourly flows.
Mhm.
And the pump rates are generally higher than the peak hourly flow, so it's just like the pump stations get huge. Or they get inundated, which has happened, you know, up in Victor. So that's why they spent a lot of money trying to figure it out and try to
Would you have
alleviate
enough
that stuff.
storage in the wet well to pump or surge it?
You have to pump down that pump well every 30 minutes.
Oh.
Because you don't want the sewage to get old. Once it gets old, it goes septic. When it goes septic, as soon as you agitate it, it releases
Okay.
the sewer gases, which then creates that sulfur consuming bacteria that then eats all the concrete
Mhm.
and ruins your pipes.
Okay, every 30 minutes, I can't be held, okay.
Yeah, you want to stay around that range, that every 30 minutes, you know, I mean, there'll be some challenges even just here, because this is law enforcement, that's the law enforcement, so where this discharges, I'm sure that manhole's probably, the next couple manholes will probably take some serious damage from hydrogen sulfide.
So you're saying from here to here, even though part of this I mean, because I live on County Road 28, Candlewood's right down behind me and they.
Yeah, one of the other alternatives was to go to
Because
here.
don't they
but this-
gravity off 332?
Yeah, but there's a flat section through the
Right, I
sewer,
understand.
so that the county doesn't want us to tie into
Okay,
this.
okay, that's.
So they gave us, this is the preferred location.
I see.
And
And then
that-
the pump station be up by Mr. Fletcher's house up in there.
Yes, that's- We're gonna like pipe the vent like real close to it.
It's back there.
There's full. Well, I just, that corner seems like there's an empty spot there.
Don't burn the gas for energy.
Yeah. Heat your pool with. it.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. I've never seen that, but yeah, that'd be interesting because like sewage is like 50 degrees. It's like a heat recovery on
What?
it.
So when you get this all completed, then you present the county, that the county still's gonna want to know a flow chart from here to here, correct?
Well, we would have, because we're tying in down here, we'd have to do the flow study that the county is asking for,
Right.
so. That's one of the steps, but generally speaking, the PER and the and the map plan report and that flow study are other things that the county would look at for approval, and eventually we get plans and they'd have to approve them.
Okay, so
approve
let's
the
get
thing.
back
Well,
to, let's get back to the pump station, because I understand one station, the other station, the other station discharging.
Yeah.
Get rid- Are you putting a question mark on this project or?
No, it's just, this is just working through the process. I'm just saying, the county kind of threw this out.
Yeah.
I think as a mitigation because of the cost of the flow study. Which,
See, I'm for this project, and I thought about my neighbors doing
I
this.
commend them for trying to like, take that away, but like, I don't like the scenario that's created by it, so.
Yeah, I
I
understand.
think,
that.
long term, I don't think it's in the town's best interest to do that, because I think you have enough development pressure in your uptown area for pump station N1.
Yeah.
To leave that alone.
So
That's
what-
that's just my opinion, because you guys have several thousand EDUs planned up here.
Yeah.
Right, so it's beyond, well, it's beyond, sorry, beyond 1,000, right?
But no, I mean, the latest data that I haven't even shared with you yet is Acoustis really is gonna start discharging a million gallons a day that comes back into that pump station.
Yeah, so I mean, there's some things that are gonna hit that, so I think you wanna leave that open for your industrial, your,
Yeah.
the commercial and the rest of your
Does
uptown.
Yeah, up in here.
Does that pump station have enough capacity to go
goes.
No, it doesn't.
the anticipated flow that Doug's talking about?
I have not checked that, I know it has a fair amount of excess capacity, because the pumps that are in there right now are too big.
Isn't that an important thing to do?
Well, so here's the thing, John. So I've actually been talking to Acoustis about that. So their engineering group is working on that with the county. So the force main itself is a 12-inch force main. It comes from there, so that has capacity. But what they're talking about is some of the pumps, some of the fins, all that stuff may have to be upgraded, and they're aware of that. To discharge that amount through that, so.
At that pump
At
station?
that pump station.
And is that on their dime?
It's gonna be a
And
state,
negotiation?
county
Right.
combo, private, public-private partnership.
So,
Okay.
Greg, I might have missed in the conversation, so what are you suggesting is the better alternative rather than having?
I think continuing
Thank
with how we had planned to connect down here.
Okay,
It's obviously more costly to run the force main down a
Oh,
developed
yeah.
street versus running it across a
Right.
farm field, but again, you'd have to build some sort of access road more than likely to this high point that's gonna be here. I can't see the county allowing us to have that just be in a grassed area.
It's just below me there, 100 feet, you look at, get out on that road, I have a high point to the neighbor, what do I say, like south of me?
South of you.
Yeah, and because where he is, you look at it, you think he's higher, but you get out there, it's an optical move.
the sweet hill.
Like, yeah, it's full hill, and so that's higher than where Mr. Fletcher is.
But anyways, the basic
So I
takeaway
understand this pump
is
station.
that we were able to revise the district a little bit, to get sewer to a few more homes. Which I think is a good thing.
That's out Emerson, is that? what
It is.
On Emerson.
Oh, that was-
Yeah,
yeah.
we're done.
That would be, to me, would be very positive to conclude more of those homes, get more people in on it,
Right,
Hopefully it reduce the cost, but the cost is gonna be what it is,
right,
which we don't know.
right.
So the only thing about this, and John, Dave, specifically for you, I mean, there's been a lot of discussion about this for years and years and years now. Because you're gonna be running this sewer into an area that's currently farmed. There's a very good chance this will convert to housing development,
Right.
with the sewer being.
Right.
And this is all part of our strategic farming protection area up here and everything, but again, you're bringing sewer right up against it, so.
Provided they can get into it, because you can see that's all run runs off this way. So and this is the low draw going through. So it, up in this area, yeah, you can probably get downhill, but once you're over here, you'd have to.
Where's
pump
the
up.
high school?
Well, high school,
It's not
over here.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, sorry.
Wait,
Yeah, it's more over here.
over
Yeah.
there, right? Okay.
But I know what you're
Yeah,
saying.
state house. It's
Yeah.
got.
I mean, I've been talking years about this. I even went out and met with John Berry on this one time.
Mhm.
We talked back and forth and, because. I understand this. I'm a prior assessor in County Board, so we got, they have sewers and, well. They don't have sewers, they go in the septic and then you just pump the water.
Right.
They pumped it. So anyhow, so I talked to Mr. Barry, we had questions back and forth. The bottom line, he says, well, we don't have any money.
Yeah,
I've heard that many times, you know what I mean? So I figured I'd walk out of his office, say goodbye and let it set. Now it's starting up again. But it's more, to me, it's more productive because we're in the town now.
yeah.
I'm not dealing with the
Well, I know
county guy,
I know the county's looking at trying to consolidate their sewer districts. They just had an RFP out for that effort. So if they can consolidate their sewer districts, that might. Hopefully get them in the step of not having money to having money.
And, well, I
At
understand.
least you can plan it a little bit better, when it's all together versus all separate districts, but this would be a town district. Just operated and maintained by the county, likely until such time that the debt service is paid off, then we could transfer it to the county if we choose at that time.
Where on this map is that pump station that you don't like?
Oh, it's not the pump station I don't like, but,
So
pump
it's
station,
here,
and,
yeah.
and, yeah, the N1 pump station's over there on Fire Hall.
If
So
you
you
take a
you just
ride
gotta,
down
you just got a lot of.
No, I'm talking about the one that the count, the second alternative to a pump
Is he back
station.
over here still? So he's putting it.
The
He's
pump
changing
station
it.
is, pump station's going here for this district,
Right.
but I just don't want the force main to, not that I don't want, I. Don't think it's as great of an
Idea.
alternative going that way as it is, I guess, the original idea of bringing it down.
So is this going as far down Emerson or no? It's the
No,
other-
no, just where the district boundary is, you can see it, so. I mean,
This
it's
time.
once a year, yeah,
So that basically go about the sand hill.
yeah.
Yeah,
just-
it's just-
Yeah, the sad part, yeah, these guys.
Yeah, I know.
Which makes sense. Corporate.
And we've designed it again so that everyone's first floor drains, some people will be able to get basement drains, but we didn't. Design it so that everyone could have basement drains, because that would just lower
Oh,
a
yeah,
couple sewer down.
right.
And why are those two on Sand Hill not in it?
They just.
Actually, it goes up, goes like this. So they actually have to pump
They
up.
pump
it.
They're
Yeah,
the
they
same
just
with
can't
this,
get
I
better.
assume.
That's that little-
That's downhill.
Yeah,
That's that little hill on the way to the high school that you walk.
Yeah.
That's a steep hill.
Yep,
So. Correct.
just confirming, I figured there was a reason. That's why I didn't know what it was.
Well, like I said, we have a little bit better information now from county, it just going through this process, going through the PER.
And Candlewood's already got it, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Right, because we talked to Steve Mayotte about the actual. Slow study,
Not since, I mean, because they put the idea of, skipping the flow study just to go to here.
Oh, okay,
So,
So. we
I
just
figured
gotta
we
think
should have
about
this
it.
meeting here and then once everyone agree, if we all agree with that's the way we want to go, then. I can get back to those guys or you can get back, whatever.
that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think your point, it makes sense to not over stress that pump station with what's gonna be coming onto it on 332, so.
There was a lot of effort to put capacity in here, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to take it away for this. to
And
put in there.
Edgemere would also. be
And this
on
isn't,
that one, correct?
there's an initial
No.
They would
size of
include
this
that.
district, but you have to understand that like. There's some growth in that district that could happen as well, right?
You're right.
So they're gonna try to.
Into that.
Yeah,
But
and this,
there's a problem.
the first stick out of here is 10 inch and then the rest of it's 8 inch, but this whole thing is run at, well, not the whole thing, but like. There's like 2 sticks here that are laid too flat,
Uh-huh.
that would have worked as a 10 inch, it almost looked like someone
Is that
designed it
arrow
for
line?
10, but then they put in an 8.
No, it's right on Parkside. It's right, it's behind Parkside Drive.
Is this Meeting Road thing right here? Is that-
That's calling.
Yeah.
Yeah, Colin, yeah.
I thought- I never remember that, so just not Meeting Road.
That's too fun. So I do have the preliminary engineering report, there's a draft together. not quite ready to release yet because I haven't had a chance to go through the cost estimate and then the breakdown. For the estimate, we're gonna use probably a 30-year loan at 5%. And so, I mean,
That's
you
not
know,
bad. We just
because
keep it
our,
on.
our, I mean, we can put in for EFC and all we're probably gonna get is the market rate, which would probably be. You know, somewhere between that 4 and 5,
Mhm.
you know, by the time we get to the point of going to a bond, unless, you know, the market kind of turns. The good news is, the only thing I'll say is, based off of what my contractors that are working right now, is that the pipe cut costs. The material costs, some of the material costs are coming down. Not a lot, not a lot. Right, goes up like a rocket, down like another. So, but at least we've had some negative indices recently. So I think that's a good
But
sign.
even at 5%, that's low compared to most mortgages, they're 7%.
Right.
Yeah,
We have
saying-
a AA2 bond rating, so it's
So-
kinda good.
right, and if you go through EFC, you'd have the AAA,
Yeah.
you know, not that it, you know, you're probably at 1/4% or something, you know, it's probably not that
We
big of a
actually done
difference.
pretty good our last bonds, because they've fallen down, thanks to what down because.
How many EDUs are we at now?
I think this takes us up to almost 100 EDUs.
We were at 91.
Originally, when we had it at 100 and some odd EDUs, but I think we went through this effort, we were able to identify certain areas that. We either overestimated EDUs or underestimated EDUs, so
Okay.
it's another thing I kind of have to go
And-
through the exact EDU analysis for this.
Do you happen to remember what the estimated interest rate was back in August or whenever that was?
I'm sure I used something less than 5%
Yeah.
because, you know,
I'm
we
just wondering-
were sitting at around like 3 and 4s, so.
I'm just wondering if we're still approximately in the same ballpark that we were at when we spoke to residents last fall.
Derek ran through some of the stuff, but he didn't include the ARPA money in the equation, so like I said, I kind of have to go through that. And kind of see where, and like I said, if the numbers are trending down, then I want to, you know, make sure that,
Reassess.
yeah, reassess that and make sure we're not being overly conservative, right? Because I don't want to scare them all the way out of the district.
What did we say, 750 for that? I think it's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, he just didn't have that in there.
Well, I think you quoted them with estimated ARPAs and what the difference it would make.
Yeah. Yeah,
Is that 750 the estimated cost per EDU?
no,
no.
750 was the ARPA, $750,000.
How much were you
It's
putting
kind of
in?
pledged towards this project, so.
ARPAs?
Yes, cost estimates and MU tables and control it, it doesn't have that accounted for, so I got, it's not worth. So then I gotta double check and make sure he's got the right county on that rate.
So the town got $1.1 million from the federal government as part of the American Rescue Plan Recovery Act. And so 750,000 of that 1.1 million has been earmarked for this.
Right.
What did we saved the other 300,000 for?
Part of it's already been allocated for Amanda for the uplands, or part of that project, and then there's a small balance left, a couple 100,000.
So that's County Road 180 in a nutshell, so I should be able to get you. Some of the information for the PER, you know, earlier this week. You guys can hang on to these. And this one has, kind of ran it. We have the water mains on here as well with the sewer, so kind of idea like what we're dealing with. There's an abandoned water main all down this side.
Right.
We ran a new water main down this side.
That reach from pump station to pump station, will that require easements?
Down here, I don't know, you kind of have to. We kind of have to get to a survey and then, you know, start laying it out, because this is just a tax map. More or less GIS level. I would think we would be able to stand the right way, but,
Go where your water reports,
right, yeah, exactly, yeah.
but we'll see.
Do we have
You
any
just have to lay it out
budgetary
for yourself.
numbers on what this is gonna cost
Can do.
the residents?
Yeah, I think we were somewhere around the 2,000 range with that, so like I said, those numbers will be updated. But I gotta go through them before, like I was saying, is that they're to include that.
So
stuff.
2,000 a year for the length of the bond,
Yes,
so the bond's 30.
yeah, the bond will be a 30-year loan.
How do residents take that?
They were in favor.
Actually,
We didn't have a single one that was.
I would argue, I mean,
well,
I mean, a low cost district, right?
is a lot of old systems. A lot of homes were built. 50s through the 70s out that way, and it's heavy clay, and
septics are
we're
fair.
all know that inevitable's coming, so I don't either of us spend 20 some odd thousand for a raised bed, or I wanna get sanitary sewer.
Mhm.
product. So,
So if the county wanted to do that pump station, would that would increase the cost of that? The pump station, the pump
That's right
station.
there.
Oh, going from this way to that way,
Yeah,
I don't know if, I have to see if Derek ran the scenario to see what that would.
but that's still on the table.
Yeah, it's not on the table, or it's not off the table.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, my thought was, it's still better to go this way.
Preferred, right, I
Yeah.
get that, but would that would be more expensive,
This,
what the county was option two. if you
the
wanna
problem
call it
with going with option two is that, once we put it. I've asked the question, would the county require an access road? And the county basically said, you'd have to wait and see what your design.
that. But you're,
So it's,
And I-
well, it's like, I'm like, I'm like, I've gone down this road before with the county and it, it's bit me in the butt before, so I just don't wanna do it again.
so your guess would be it'd be more
My
expensive.
guess
to go
is
that way.
there's costs there that, that wouldn't be reflective of the information that we have right now. So, this, I think we can have a pretty good handle as what the costs are.
And sewer easements would be required too, I would assume.
Yeah, you would have to get some reasons that way.
Right.
The hard part is getting from County Road 28
Yeah.
across to RISR, because I gotta cross, these guys' properties here, I'm like, that's.
But meanwhile, you've got a developer that's already laid out their plans and submit them.
Yeah, I was trying to talk with Glenn Thornton to see if they had like a plan to get like a manhole somewhere over here, where we could get really short, and I'm like, then, maybe I'd entertain it. But when I last talked to me, he said like, they're just doing this stuff over here, and they're not planning to be over
Right,
here
that's
for
phase one, yeah.
quite a long time, and I was like, okay, that's probably not gonna work, then. We never realized those savings.
Which one is that one?
Uptown Landing.
Uptown Landing, thank you.
Don't you guys talk to all one?
So many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that map just lays that out with the sewer and water.
Well, at least you maybe. You get an easement from them, no problem, sure.
Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah.
How good have you put
You know, this-
These guys won't, these guys have said they're actually object to all of everything that's going on, they said they're not willing to give anything, so. You have to come down here.
yeah, we just
And
come
we're
down
not on
here,
that.
come down
Yeah.
here and then come over.
Okay.
to Boise proper. So
Doug, for my edification, does this come down to a vote of the district?
It's the petition, right? You might get to win that.
yeah, so we're gonna generate a map plan report, and then someone from the district will have to go around and get signatures on a formal petition, as long as you have signatures that represent greater than 50% of the assessed value in the voting pot of the proposed district, then it would, it would pass.
Do you have to meet both those criteria? 50% of the assessed value and 50% of the residents?
Right, both.
Both.
But then they're all gonna have to pay in if it's. put in, whether or
Right.
not they
Yeah.
decide
Yeah,
to.
the
At least for the.
the 40, the
capital
49%,
connection,
yes, if they were in fact truly opposed to it. But usually there's like, it's usually like there's like,
Yeah.
5% that oppose and probably 20% that are in favor of it, and then the rest of the people just don't say anything.
So there's no farmland involved there. There's no farmland.
There's farmland here,
That's all Purdy's farm.
So
this is marginal farmland.
Wetland.
Yeah.
Slash crap farm.
I think this is the one main farmland here, this, I think something back in here.
So would that put development pressure on that farmland?
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're drawing the district short,
So
right?
Purdy's for it, then I'm sure.
I don't know, it's hard.
That's hard to say about.
It's hard to gauge Brad and Billy, they both have conflicting opinions about this.
Mhm.
Where, do we have
So-
an easement, conservation easement anywhere?
Nope.
Where in the-
Billy, and they won't, Purdy's are opposed to it,
Okay.
because they actually planned, and they've told us that they want to put a housing development coming in here.
Yeah.
Access off of North Road.
Is that where the high school is?
So that
Yeah.
sewer would pick that, up. This sewer project would pick
Would
that up.
help them on this.
Yeah.
Well,
Not necessarily. down
yeah,
there,
over
but-
here it would, cause it falls this way.
Yeah.
No,
It's my
bueno,
road.
but you gotta get
Yes.
past this low spot.
That's my little dream road.
The conservation easement is on a different party,
Okay, thank you.
up on Sand Hill Road by that.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
I think they're related, right? But they're not, it's like cousins or
Oh,
something.
that's.
Yeah, that's key.
There's lots of birdies over there.
So that's County Road 28 in a nutshell.
Quite a nutshell.
Do you guys know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. John, you know.
Remember the guy on the parks?
I think it was this.
Yeah, that looks like it.
Okay.
Just give them here, yeah.
Yeah.
Sarah would like to talk about CCA for a minute. Cause I was supposed to do that first, and I totally forgot.
This,
I think she's skipping ahead of putting something about
this, okay.
You just heard the sewer stuff. Yeah. We're done with that. Well, you think that's what it's about. I don't. That's actually something that everybody needs to know about.
Conversations after this.
Bonus.
You don't need me for all those.
Or sewer pump.
Yeah.
Sewer stuff.
So I'm just going to give a brief update on our community choice aggregation program.
Tell me what that is.
Exploration.
before we get started.
Yeah, so. There is a program called Community Choice Aggregation. About a year ago, the town board adopted legislation that allowed the town to start looking into whether or not they would like to participate in a program like this. And basically what it is the municipality can go out for bid for bulk purchase of energy supply to provide an option for the residents of the municipality to get their energy supply through that provider.
Clear about that, Sarah.
Allow it. It's not done. Nothing has been done. The legislation that was passed last year allows the town to
Make sure.
look into it.
Oh, wait, I want to be even more clear about that, just because they haven't experienced this. So what it would be is the town will choose your supplier,
Mhm.
and then you can opt out of it if you don't want it. But by
Gonna get
default,
there.
well, but it's an
Gonna get
important.
there.
step.
Paul, you're out.
Yeah,
Yeah, so, I mean, it's kind of like an ESCO, but it's huge because it's all the eligible, consumers in the town. And so what, at the stage we're at right now is we have a contract with a company called Jewel Assets. It's a no cost contract to the town, so we haven't paid anything for this. And what they're doing is they're looking into options and they will be going out for bid on behalf of the town to see what companies might be interested in being the energy supplier. If the town board was presented with favorable options, you could then enter into a contract with that energy supplier, and at that point, it is like Doug said, it's an opt-out process. So what that means is all the eligible consumers would automatically be enrolled in this, but there's a month or two process ahead of that where Jewel Assets on our behalf would be sending out communications to everybody that's eligible, letting them know, and giving them the chance to say, no, I don't want this.
Similarly to what we get in our RG&E bills every month.
Kind of, I mean,
So
with
they-
RG&E, you get put into whatever energy supplier they pick for you unless you choose your own.
But they let us choose whether we want to go on a solar grid or we don't want to go on a solar grid.
Yeah.
Guaranteed 5% energy savings.
So-
We can opt out if we decide not to do it.
Right, so we aren't there yet, they haven't even put out the bid yet, that's coming in a month or two. Right now, we're in the information gathering and public education portion of the program. So there's going to, Jewel Assets is going to hold 2 public meetings. They're gonna run it for us that will kind of give an overview of everything, the long story, whereas I've given you the short story. How it might work, you know, hypothetically, if we went forward with this. And they're gonna do an online virtual meeting on the 18th at 6 p.m. So that's next Wednesday. And an in-person meeting on January 30th before your town board meeting at 5:15 p.m. Which of course will also be virtual because we have to for our town board meeting, but so they're gonna be running both of these meetings. We're not running them, but I have put out Facebook events for these, and we're gonna send out MailChimp and other, you know, public communications with the flyers that they created, just to make sure everybody knows about them.
Who do Facebook ad? Nobody forgets that.
We have never done that, but I did make an event.
That makes sense though.
So who else does dual assets, what other municipalities?
I should need to talk to that, but I don't even know that we can do that.
If we can, they're
Jewel
so cheap,
could
they're
do
like
it.
$5 but.
Jewel could do it. Who else does Jewel do this for? What other municipalities are they involved with?
So they work with the city of Canandaigua and as most of you know, the city of Canandaigua lost their energy supplier for this program, so they're actually gonna be included in the larger group with the bid that Jewel will be doing for us. I think they said there's 9 municipalities, including the town of Canandaigua, the city of Canandaigua.
This is
Town of-
bulk purchase. This isn't-
Yeah, town of Richmond, there was maybe Victor, maybe Brighton, there was,
Are they handling, doing this, is this working in some other municipality currently with them?
yes.
So what municipality?
Well, for the city of
They did it
Canandaigua,
with the
up
city.
until the changeover, it reduced the residents rate in half.
And what happened after that?
Well, there was a problem with the supplier, and there was a whole lot of legal stuff between RG&E and the supplier, but. That's why they want to do it again. Fairport, Brighton, those are some of the other communities. that
So
are doing it.
Fairport uses Jewel,
Or I'm sorry, not Fairport. Fairport has its own
Right. Brighton uses Jewel.
Brighton uses Jewel.
Jewel's not the supplier.
No, I understand.
Okay.
It's-
Yeah,
There's a middleman,
Yeah.
So they take a piece of that somewhere,
Yeah.
they're getting paid,
there's a
yeah.
fraction of the percentage, I don't know, so I'm not gonna give you numbers.
So anecdotally, were the city residents happy with that before it all went?
Until it all went.
Yeah.
What we've been told is, yes, I talked to some city residents who, obviously they went through this and they said, while it was working, it was great. They did have noticeable savings. It's just when the supplier couldn't do what they had promised anymore. They
So what happened to that rate? It doubled,
It went back to whatever
Whatever was
GE
it?
charges.
whatever.
They-
So there's no really no negative to this, I'm hearing that, the potential is savings. The downside is that you go to what you're paying right now.
It's just public relations, you know,
Right.
if people get put into a program that, you know, they don't want it or
Right.
whatever.
Well, they can opt out.
I know, they'll go opt out, they'll complain, yeah, no.
Or, you know, when the bid information comes back. It'll be presented to the town board, and if you guys like it, I'm assuming, you know, you're gonna consider whether it's a cost savings and all the other things you might consider, but. At that point, if you were to move forward with it, Jewel will be sending a letter, hard copy letter to every single eligible consumer. Who would be able to use this program to let them know, you know, this is
Well-
gonna happen, you want it.
To use myself again, we're RG on I think all the houses that we.
And that wouldn't change, you'd still get your bills from our G&E.
Right.
It's
It would
just
just
the
be that
section where it talks
kilowatt
about
hour
who
would
is actually
be-
providing your energy,
Right.
that section on the bill would be different.
Okay,
And either Sarah or Doug, can you explain the potential grant implications of doing this CCA?
Sure, did that answer my question? If we go through with this, the town can apply to get points towards, the Climate Smart Communities Program and or the Clean Energy Communities Program. One is, I think, through NYSERDA and the other one's through DEC. I might be saying them all, but they're similar programs that recognize municipalities for doing things that are energy savings, emission reduction, and so forth. If we go through with this and we have this and we can check that box and say our municipality is part of a CCA program, Community Choice Aggregation Program, then in the future, if we were interested in pursuing funding for other energy related projects in the town, being a part of a CCA program would give us some points towards that.
so here's the thing, you have to hit certain thresholds with points, and then there's like a bronze certification with the one program and.
Right, that's
Silver
the
and blah, blah,
C,
blah, right, but essentially, we've got a lot of points, but we don't quite hit that level yet. And this would push us over the level,
huge
and it
points.
would unlock all kinds of grant opportunities that currently we don't have access to.
And make
It's
us
a
more
whole
likely
new
to
pool of
receive
grants.
those grants than
Yeah.
if we didn't have them.
so how does this affect energy reduction?
It's you automatically get signed up for 100% renewable.
Yeah.
Individual consumers can change their mind on that.
100% what?
Renewable.
sources. And so when, say, for example, you move forward and when that letter comes out. At any point in time after that, consumer can choose whether or not they want 100% energy sources or if they want a lower percentage rate. And then, of course, they can choose whether or not to participate at all. But regardless of what they choose, based on the way the program is set up as an opt-out, so everybody's automatically in unless they would like to not be a part of it. And it's set up to automatically be 100% renewable, which they can change their mind. But because of the way the program is set up, that's what gets us that's the benefit.
Did we solicit Jewel or did Jewel solicit us?
We sent out an RFP and they answered it.
And what motivated the RFP?
I think you have to.
Grants.
If you want to do this,
This
the
committee.
RFP process is the required process to go through.
So we had a group that talked about this up front and then.
This
Committee,
Yeah.
and then they sent it
This
to the
committee,
town
the town
board.
board.
then the
And that was like
town board reached out.
Probably a 6 month to a year discussion. Maybe longer.
I like
So-
about this.
So the end user will know what they're paying per kilowatt hour, no matter where they get it from. So if it's 11 cents a kilowatt hour now, and it goes to 5 cents, no matter where that comes from, it's 5 cents. Opt in, whatever. If I choose solar, yes. If I choose nuclear, yes, correct?
I don't know what the cost changes would be if someone went from 100% renewable to not. I don't know if that changes the cost. I don't know enough about it to give you an answer, but I assume those questions would be good for the meetings on the 18th or 30th.
But it's automatically renewable and automatically with whoever we
And then
select, unless someone chooses
And they
that.
can choose that. And with this program, someone can say they want to be a part of it for the first, any number of days, months, whatever. And then they can change their mind. There's no cost to enter the program. There's no cost to leave the program. They can do it online with a link, or they can make a phone call. Jewel Assets will be handling all the phones.
So little old 80-year-old lady, how is she gonna do this?
I don't know.
She's gonna get a letter in the mail that says what's happening.
So she's gonna have to go online?
Well,
Well,
she can make a phone
she
call.
could go.
Okay.
Well,
Also,
arguably, if she does nothing,
she
she's
should,
automatically in.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
But if she didn't wanna be in,
Then
she'd have to figure it out.
Well, they would
that's
give
situation.
her that information in the letter, or she could call the town and we will give her that phone
Mhm.
number to forward them. That phone number is already on our website. And yes, it is online based.
and one other thing I know in the last meeting you talked about, we were talking about doing this for different time periods, right? Setting a rate for a particular time period. Isn't that what you-
There's two different options. There's that. When they send out the RFP. The people who bid, the companies that bid can bid for both like a 2-year fixed rate option. Or a variable rate option that's like reset every 2 or 3 months. Based on, current market rates. I guess one of the problems before is that the energy company that bid for the city. One of the reasons they defaulted is they couldn't meet what they had promised and.
So is there a cap on this? I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of talk about energy rates. And one of the places they were talking about was Brighton, where people's energy went from $150 a month to $4,000. Is that potential exist with this?
I wouldn't know.
That's one of our concerns that we had before the town board authorized us even to take the step of hiring dual assets. And we had a lot of conversation about that. We explored that with the city and everything. Because there were erroneous charges by RG&E.
Right.
And so what happens with a lot of those charges is the RG&E bills, there's no documentation to support what they're being charged. So it's always you or I could technically get one of those goofy erroneous
Right.
bills, right? And then we're gonna have to fight it or whatever. So I don't say that it doesn't exist, but it's this program really is selecting the supplier, right? And so what the city experienced when Rocktricity stopped, right, is that doubling of the bill because of the doubling of the rate. They got a lot of calls about that because everybody was used to saving the money.
Right.
It just went back up to kind of where we're all generally at right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So as a town board member, I would like to know what that kilowatt hour is if we decide to do that, because people are gonna come at us like nobody's business. If we drop down, save a bunch of money, and it jumps back up to, you know, a
Well, that's-
1/10 of a cent above what they were paying.
Right, after they do the RFP, they'll have that information.
Good, yeah.
Yeah, you're not
We'll be
You're not gonna
evaluating
be
with that.
presented with something to make a decision on unless you have all that information. Obviously, and then also just
Do
to
you
be
remember the
clear,
date? I mean, that's like summer, right? I think.
the RFP, sorry, this is my December meeting notes, I don't have the old one.
So like May or something?
I wanna say, yeah, springtime
Spring, you said last.
is when they're gonna do the RFP, and it's about like a month plus or minus process. You know, none of this commits the town to anything. Not that, you're not committed to anything. This is information gathering. If the bids come back, bids come back. And they're not agreeable to the town board, you can say, do it again, and they will. They'll go out for
I
bid
still
again.
want Berkeley Brain knocking on my door. One of my families, why did you do this?
Well, they don't have to do it.
Right, I get it. Yeah.
But you can, Jill will go out to bid for us multiple times. On the town's behalf, if we don't like the bids we're getting, they'll do it again. I don't know if there's a cap on how many times they'll do it, but they said they'd be willing to do it multiple times for us. If you don't get the, you know, the proposals that the board is comfortable with.
It seems like a great idea.
It's
I just worry about some of that
Jewel
periphery.
operates all over the state too, and they're very engaged with the Public Service Commission, so they're actually like the advocate against RG&E with the public, so you know, they're almost like our. Legal representation, so even in some of these other cases where these other municipalities have used them. And there's this stuff going on, they're acting as the conduit, so they're really, they have a ton of information they share in this public meetings and stuff. too.
Right, and there was concerns over, you know, the billing issues that some people experienced with RG&E. And even though that's completely separate from this, everything still comes through an RG&E bill, and from what Jewel has told us, you know, there was some state involvement with getting RG&E to clean up their issues, and from what they've told us, that's supposed to be fixed this spring, right around the same time we're getting the bid.
You're talking about going live August, right?
If
That's your last
everything
meeting,
were
yeah.
to go forward and you had, you know, an agreeable rate and you wanted to move forward with your contract, yes, it would probably not be live until about August or something.
What was your new information today that you said you were,
The meetings,
oh, just the meetings?
they're up on Facebook, we're gonna share it, there's Zoom links for the one on the 18th.
Where are the Zoom links on the town calendar?
I didn't get them on there yet because I just put it up today. So right now there are events on the Facebook page. When I go back over there after this, I'll put them on our email MailChimp, and it'll be on the calendar and all the normal ways that we share information. The newspaper will get a copy of it too, because we send a press release to them. And yes, the timing is not great for some of this, but there's requirements put on Jewel by the state for their communication window. And of course, they're going to continue to communicate with the public throughout the entire process. That never stops, but their minimum requirement was 60 days, and it started in December, so it ends in February. And they have to have their 2 meetings done before the end of that time. And with the holidays, we knew that it would be tight time schedule. So it ended up being that they're both in January, but one is online, one is in person. And yeah,
Sarah, is this program just apply to residential accounts?
I think they mentioned some small businesses would be eligible, but I don't know the specifics. When before these. Oh, the town itself, we're supposed to be able to be a consumer for
So
this
we
too.
would see a benefit.
We asked that before we
Maybe,
started.
we have a separate agreement with the Municipal Electric and Gas Alliance. And we've had multiple energy audits, including even one last year, and they conducted the audit and they said, we can't find a savings for you, you're already getting a better rate than what we could possibly give you, so.
Yeah, so
I
if it's
don't
not as
know
good as what we party.
You know, we may,
Let's see what that's.
so we just have to
Yeah.
compare it, yeah.
That's kind of a bad look if we opt out. though.
Yeah.
If we were to opt out, that would be kind of a bad look.
If the rate's lower, that's it.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Part of this, that's a commercial accounts, I guess. Part of
I
this.
don't know, I mean, I guess
Yeah.
it just depends on how.
It's gotta be every private meter, I would think. So any complex, if
Any
it's all
private
private meter.
Residential, I guess, yeah,
I think these are questions for Drew.
yeah, okay, good.
So yeah,
All
just,
private meters.
so yeah, the Wednesday, the 18th, Zoom only, there will be no in person for that one. And then
You know the time.
6 p.m. And then the one right before the board meeting in person in the Linda room on January 30th at 5:15. They figured, about a half hour max for the presentation with 15 minutes. Actually, she thought like 20 minutes for the presentation, and the remainder would be time for Q&A with a wrap up prior to the beginning of the town board meeting.
Sarah, can I ask you to do one extra step? Could you email the information about the meetings to the HOAs that we're aware of, to the leadership of the HOAs?
I don't have a list of all the HOAs, but their email addresses.
We don't, I don't.
No, we, they're all set up so differently and they keep changing. That's, no, we don't.
I'll give you the like whatever.
Yeah, I can, why don't I forward it to this group?
Yeah.
And then you guys, if you wanna, I mean, obviously share as much as you want. Everyone's more than we can.
The thing about the HOAs is there's some that are really official and there's some that's not, it's very complicated, and you got residents that say it's legit, and other residents that say they're not, and. I mean, even in Lakewood, there's 3, 4 HOAs.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're all different areas, so.
Right, but
Second.
like one of them, you talk to one resident and then they say it's not a legit HOA, right? Waterford Point, and then you get others to say it is.
Waterford Point is totally different. There's a little teeny squeeze spot between them. It's very helpful to Jim's plow drivers, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I don't know why they did that.
that was a traffic calming.
Yeah.
Is that what it's supposed
I
to
don't know.
be? Right before a huge
Was that something
curve?
the town asked for? It's
Yeah.
part of like, that's, yeah. So just remember, when you complain during the seeker review period, and you
Yeah.
identify something, then the developer reacts to it. Sometimes, unintended consequences.
It's the HOA line, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So we'll share it as far and wide as we are able to.
Thanks, sir.
Welcome.
I was excusing myself.
Thank you. See, I told you you'd want to hear. Yeah.
The next one is what, the VA sanitary sewer?
Yeah, just
And I'm
so
gonna drop back over some.
Well, wait, before Sarah leaves, like the positive note is, I think we're all good on the signs, now you guys just gotta get the gateway signs on. Gotta get them installed.
Oh, the science, you're talking about science too?
no, we're not talking about sign, what we're saying is we've got.
Yes.
Just let people know, we got the permits, we're ready to go now.
Permits. I have not talked to sign language. So.
I'm afraid to talk to them again because then they just answer me and then they don't talk to me anymore.
Oh, I have his emails that you sent me. So.
Okay.
You guys know what gateway signage is, the big red?
I think we go.
It's putting the town of Canandaigua signs on.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
You're on the right track. Like, we don't have to go across lots of easements.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Whitey was where we can.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Are we still talking about the gateway signs?
No, I just wanna let you guys know, that we said that was all finally
We've
approved.
been off your.
So I put on here County Road Force sewer, and we'll start back a ways here. Sewer has been asked also in the area north of the city on 21, I'll zoom out here a little bit. This is Route 21, here's the VA. Here's County Road 4.
We actually did a preliminary engineer report, and I think we even have preliminary engineering. For that whole proposed district.
Where's the proposed district?
Yeah.
Now, with that, the VA has a wastewater plant.
Yep.
Okay, right across from Bushwood Lake. Here's Bush, that's the back entrance to the VA. They want to not be in the business of being in a wastewater treatment facility anymore due to the age of the facility. They would like to decommission this.
Build a pump station.
They have gravity from here out to the outlet. You see this street, this little path right here, folks?
Mhm.
That is the outlet for the effluent of the sanitary sewer to the outlet. They are proposing, they would like the town and the county and the city to work together on placing. They would like to put a lift station here. And then force it back to the city.
Is
This
that
would-
VA property or what is that?
This
Yeah,
is-
VA property, VA easement.
it's
I
a
think they-
VA easement.
Yeah,
Okay, so it's
Okay.
private property, not a.
So this would significantly help the cost of sewer, I'd say from. I dare say from right about here,
yeah.
it
there's
starts
like
running
high points,
downhill
Yeah,
for these residents in this area here to get sanitary sewer to go back to the city.
Not Grandview Park.
well,
Is that-
Grandview Park is higher, so we just have to get a line down from Grandview Park, down to County Road 4 to get back to that sewer.
Right,
So that could be included as.
Cause originally when I designed this, I had the pump station, I think, closer to the city in Grandview Park, kind of it was further
Yeah.
over. If I remember correctly, and but if they set it there, that's fine, we just have to have them set it low enough. At least give it something deep enough so that where we can make sure we can do everything, so.
And when you
Part-
quoted that out, that was not including any part of County Road 4 before, right? So the
No.
cost was a lot higher.
No, we had County, well, we looked at it like, you know, we looked at this like 3 different
Yeah,
ways,
yeah.
right? We looked at just Grandview Park, we looked at 21, we looked at just County Road 4, we looked at all of it.
Grandview Park is. So
Yeah, it's just that little,
This is Grandview Park, to the
This is
side of it.
Grandview
That's
Park
in the
here.
town, it's right on the
Yeah.
border.
Grandview.
problem is,
The Gorham Street. that was one.
Hard Rock is only about 12 inches deep.
Yeah, I want, I
So
got,
it's a problem trying to deal with sewage through there. Everyone's septic has to be set in rock.
What does that mean? Hard Rock? Is-
I mean, it's like bedrock, it's just rock.
One house just had to put a raised bed in.
yeah,
yeah.
so. There be, the expense of Grandview is the rock removal. There'll probably be a lot of whole ram, being a jackhammer on an excavator to. Remove it, that's what they just did recently, just to get the gas line replaced. And
Because you're going right into bedrock.
Yeah.
yeah,
There's
that
only-
rock.
there's like
breaks up.
12 inches of dirt and
Got
that's rock.
Okay.
So how far down do you have to go?
Well, you gotta,
Oh, God.
well, I mean, yeah, regs say you gotta be below frost, so, I mean, that's
4
the
feet.
minimum, but you're, I mean, a sewer's probably gonna be anywhere from 8 to. 6 at the minimum.
And they're-
But
I don't know if we need to go 10 to 10, you'd have to lay that out and then like see, cause it is downhill,
Yeah.
kind of report. You might be able to lay that in relatively shallow, relatively shallow, and to get it down to County Road 4. Like I said, I think what I need to do is kind of coordinate a little bit with the VA engineer. Figure out what he has for, what he's going to have for his pump station, 'cause I think the email said they were talking about putting a pump station in and then. A couple manholes for us to tie into.
Right,
So really the governing elevations that I wanna know are those 2 manholes. To understand, how much, but what would be nice for that district is that you could save, that district. Could save the money on building the pump station if the VA builds the pump station.
So to put laterals into their houses, they'd have to do the same hammering technique, correct?
depending where their septic is on
Right.
Grandview, I'm not sure where they're located, they,
Right.
yeah, they
I
would
think it's
have to.
reasonable that, yeah,
Right.
that would have to be the case, someone would have to, yeah.
They would obviously incur that expense.
So
Right.
I'll go back a little bit farther, so in the sewer master plan, this was number 2 of locations to put sewer.
Right,
Doug and his staff sent out letters to this area with a cost, and we received back too expensive is what it was for most, of like, we just can't afford it, we'll deal with what we got.
Right.
So. And this pump station would not make their sanitary sewer any less expensive in that area, because it's runs downhill.
Right.
It doesn't need a lift station like County Road 4 does
Mhm.
to get it back to the city.
Mhm.
So. It's, to me, it's almost like two separate districts. You would just do County Road 4 as much as you could. Then maybe someday with Grandview, you get back to it if enough people are willing to buy into it.
Right, well, if you had a manhole to tie in from gravity up above, right, you could also even go back and create a new district. And because of the income levels in that particular area, we could do an income survey, maybe
That's what I
get
was
some
wondering if that
CDBG. To tie into the gravity if we had somewhere to tie it into, right, but it's still gonna be expensive.
Yeah, just remember CDBG requires you to seek out all other funding
Right.
options first.
Right.
Good news is that we don't even have to look at RD because
Yeah.
they can't help us anyways. So it's really just EFC.
And it may have to be a combo like we did on Purdy.
It might, yeah, it might be. The, one of the expensive things about connecting Grandview Park to County Road 4 is the railroad.
Mhm.
That railroad,
Yeah,
that
that's-
railroad process is pretty expensive,
Mhm.
because that'd be a case for,
Go really deep, I assume.
not really deep, it's just you gotta put your sewer inside a steel casing. So
Oh,
you, someone's got, you gotta dig down on both sides and they have a machine that actually pours across. It's just expensive, that's.
can you use a backtrack?
No backtrack, so.
You know, if those tracks aren't utilized at all, then you could, you know, you
Yeah,
can always.
absolutely.
They are
They are
utilized, yeah.
used.
Put a request in the pull of the
That's the
tracks.
supply line for active.
Yeah,
So it's not gonna happen, right?
So
I'm just picking on this.
I just bring this up because the VA wants to do this, and it's probably gonna be, obviously be a couple of years by the time they
Yeah.
get
We
it done, so.
had the VA here.
Yeah.
At one of our meetings, like maybe a year ago,
Yeah.
ish.
More than a year ago, because I've been almost every month.
Okay, yeah, so maybe it's a bit more than a year. We talked about it. There was like that. Yeah, let's work together. And then it was like radio silence. But
But they
then
got $250 million or something, they must have the money to do.
right, so out of the blue, these guys sent me an email and just they're like, okay, you know, now let's talk about sewer. I'm like, all right.
Right,
And I'm like, I forward this off to Jim and Doug and I'm like, well, so it looks like we gotta start talking with the VA now, because
Right.
like they're ready to go.
Got the money.
How many housing units are they going? Does anyone know that stuff? I mean, they've got to be
They just-
quadrupling their sewer needs.
There was
I mean, it's huge, right?
You probably don't know much. Whatever you ask the federal government.
Yes.
you get no
That's
answer.
right, but you just, when you drive by there and see what's going on there,
It's
that's going somewhere. You know
Right.
what I mean? And if their facility's failing now, that's why they wanna talk, I'm sure.
Yeah, they don't wanna upgrade the facility.
Right,
to the
right.
cost.
Right.
They
Then
might
that
just-
later phase is all that housing going towards the academy. Going out that way.
It's going that way now.
Is have they started? I've been out that way lately.
So,
So
Are there
in the
any-
case of this scenario, the VA would be picking up the cost of the pump station, force main. Which would be a decent savings to this district and maybe make it solid.
Almost
Right.
seems like a no-brainer if they're gonna pick up that much.
yeah,
Are
they
there
have to
any
get,
intermunicipal cooperation grants for that too? But I mean, it's not another municipality, it's a federal municipal collaboration.
But I mean, let's let them pay the bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad. If they're paying for the force main and pump station,
Yeah.
so you have to do is put in gravity.
yeah, but that's a lot easier.
Politician, but
What's from east to County Route 4, they have sewer?
No, none of these have sewer.
I want his to run for it.
You know, and this ground's also poor.
whose property is that on that they would want to build the pump station on? Do we have knowledge of if that? person-
Yeah,
Going with that.
They have a pretty big easement.
Yeah, I just, I wouldn't wanna force that on somebody if they're opposed to it, you know, I just. wanna-
Well, we won't be forced anything because
It's a place that's gonna already dictate that.
Yeah.
yeah,
The VA is gonna have to go through all the process of
Yeah.
the environmental review and. You know, all the information, because it's their project, so
Right.
they have to carry, they're gonna have to do what they're gonna do, and then we're just gonna connect to it.
I know that house,
so. They're decent people, I've talked about a few times, so.
he's got that barn back in the side, it's not
Yeah,
that old,
over
yeah,
here.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's had some septic issues.
What's the-
Almost everybody's got.
Hold on.
I need
County Route
to
4,
design
is that
something.
the-
around somebody who's-
No, yeah, go down.
Yeah, I know, I get.
They can set the, if they could set the pump station deep enough,
Right.
and then give us the manholes that are deep enough, then we can go as far as we can go, east and west.
Mhm.
And then, you get a little.
It's flat.
Little mini district.
It's flat and wet there.
Yeah, it's
flat.
That
So-
is the outlet.
There's 710.
Sounds good.
We're about 3 years where it drops off.
Turns into a swamp over there.
What's that? What's that say? 690, so yeah, somewhere where the old railroad bridge used to be is before it, you had to.
Is the crest,
Yeah, there's a crest.
I know there's a
there.
gentleman there on the other side, who when I knocked on his door, that's number one.
Yeah.
It's somewhere right in here. is where
Really wanted
it
to
stop.
Can we put gas in when we do that too? I had some residents over there.
You
asking
can't
for
get gas anymore.
You can't?
The governor won't
Oh,
allow
that's
gas
right.
anywhere.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Can't have gas stoves. Can't have nothing. Anyways,
All right.
I digress.
I had some residents over there.
So that's on the radar.
that's good.
I just brought up Second Point Road Culvert because MRB got all of our grant information done. And submitted yesterday for the Bridge and Culvert New York program that we
Yeah.
approved last month.
David John.
we-
Melvin.
David, John, we have a culvert on Seneca Point Road, built in 1930s, somewhere in that range. That the head wall is falling off the inlet side and concrete's falling, rebar's exposed, it's failing, it's not on a critical fail, but it needs to be replaced, and this year. For once, the local municipalities get to try for bridge and culvert money
Mhm.
to offset the cost, and I think we're at what, 2 million?
Yeah, it's about 2 million.
About 2 million for this project. So if we can get 1.5 of the 2 million, that'll leave us about a $500,000 to. Do this project, which wouldn't be till 25 to earliest,
Right.
We're in Seneca.
so if you're south of
Just
Second Point.
just south of Barnes Road.
Off of Barnes Road, just south of Barnes Road, guys, I don't know.
Big gully that cuts across.
It's about 28 feet down, isn't it, right?
Yeah, the culvert has, between, what side you're looking at, one side is 20 foot and then the other side is 28 foot of overburden on it.
Right, so.
So because of that, there's a massive cut,
Right here,
there's a massive cut to get that old culvert out.
here's
put a
Barnes
culvert
Road,
in.
Yeah.
guys, so right here. Just about, 600 feet south of that.
How deep?
20, well, by the time you're at the bow, you're at 30,
30
Yeah.
feet deep.
yeah. We own a fair amount of right of way here, which is good,
Right.
so.
Is that the same stream that goes through Barnes Road that you did?
This does not, this goes to the
Goes to
south of
south.
Barnes Road.
Yeah,
This one over here. This one over here goes down to Barnes Road.
Mhm.
This culvert here we did, well, we gotta do it again, but. It's another story. That goes to the north side of the gully through Ononda.
but the reason why we're looking at this one is there's, the crown of the, culvert. So you can think of the ceiling inside, called the crown. There's a lot of spalling of the concrete and corrosion in the rebar, so we already know. Yeah. So those concrete that hold the rebar is actually important because that's part of the load rating. So when you take that off, you lose a lot of your load capacity of that culvert. It looks like it's just, chlorides of salt from the road, it's typical concrete culvert, just got into it. There's no membrane over this culvert. So, because of the time it was built. It just needs to go, but if we can get grant dollars to pay for it, we figured. Might as well take a shot at it. The program does favor counties and state projects over municipalities, but looking at what we put together, I think we have a pretty good competitive application. I just don't know how much they look at Canandaigua and say, you guys are too well off.
But you need to put like big highlighted letters on the top, it's like, this culvert goes directly to Canandaigua Lake.
No, it's in the grant application, and we noted this goes right to Canandaigua Lake.
If you, history, the road used to go over here.
Yeah, it's pretty
And
wild.
if you look over
Yeah.
there, there's an
There's
old
an abutment.
concrete structure still that.
Yeah,
Oh, is there?
Yeah, so. Who knows?
Is that the same That is, it must be the same stream that comes into Ananda, or at least another branch.
That one is south of Ananda.
Does it branch and connect back into it or not?
It just comes down,
Further
down by
south.
Rochester Point.
Rochester Point, okay.
Down that way. So the grant's in and I will wait and see.
Yeah, see
What
what
comes
happens.
of it.
We got a geotech report that gave, as part of it, that helps. Show the grant people that, we're invested in doing this project, it's a priority, so.
So it's a priority for 2025.
Yeah, that's where all.
Yeah, that's, that would be, that would be when we'd be able to install it based off of the grant cycle.
Right.
That'd be the hope. I got out here discussion on HVAC software. Well. So, in 17, we built a facility. Siemens was selected as the
With the basis of design
basic, thank you, John.
by M&E.
Thank you. And then about 2020, we started having issues with the software, like it wasn't operating correctly, you couldn't make changes, it wasn't working well, but it was at the end of its lifespan, like they weren't supporting that anymore. And at that time, they wanted 20 some odd thousand to upgrade. I'm like,
Siemens?
yeah. Now Siemens.
So
is-
the programming that was originally installed, it was supported entirely by Adobe Flash, which was made obsolete in 2019. So once that became unsupported, now, I think we tried hosting it on an old computer. You're right, that wasn't upgraded because Adobe Flash was only on, whatever, the 32-bit, not the 64-bit, so whatever. Or 16, 32, whatever, anyhow. So that's the reason why the software ended up being obsolete and they couldn't support it because it's all based off of Adobe Flash.
So I didn't want to pay that, and we had this quasi backup system that kind of kept us going. Well, another year went by and the worse it got. So they came back, Siemens did with another price of 8,500.
Oh, actually, not bad.
That was
Okay,
about
okay,
8,500. And they put this new computer in just over a year ago. Okay, but
So we purchased for $8,500.
Yes, we did.
and updated.
it's for an update. This update is flat out poor. It took about 2 months to get it in operation. Because they were constantly trying to get things to communicate from all the sensors and programs that are out there. And over the summer, we struggled with certain air handling units, and then this winter, we've been really struggling with the ventilation, the heat, the in-floor heat. Not able to operate by hand, like it just, like the system just gets wiped out, they have to go back in and reprogram. We're one of 4 locations that have the software, obviously. It's not well used around the area, and the other problem with Siemens is it's proprietary, thank you. So you just can't have someone say like Day Automations and Fishers come in and do something because they can't make theirs talk to this. So I have been speaking recently with Chris Nadler to give me some idea of like, okay, we bought this software a little over a year ago. It's not functioning. What kind of recourse does the town have? Because we have a lot of documentation of what has been going wrong, because you call this 877 number every time you have an issue. And then I've also been talking to back to M&E again about, okay,
They're a mechanical electrical engineering firm. They were our sub for this project.
this project.
They were responsible for the electrical and mechanical design.
Sorry.
And I said, here's what we're currently using, it's called Design O Optic. I know it's a weird name, but that's what we call it. That's for this facility here, and they're going to review it. I said, what would it cost the town if this continues and there's not recourse to remove what's here and put something in that's will work for the next 10 years and have somebody who can fix it? Because when I say fix it, like when I call the number and I get a guy in Buffalo who says, I've never seen this software before, I can't help you. You know, and the guy who can is the only one in the state or in the US, we'll say, that can. And then obviously it was or the holidays, he's not around, I mean. It's just not good business for the town to not have things in operation. So I'm trying to get data together to bring back to this committee to discuss for the future of the HVAC controls of the building.
It's not.
So you need to replace the software, it sounds like to me. I mean, something's not right. If there's only one guy that can work on it.
So yes, we need to replace the software, but that's like one part. The other part is all the sensors throughout the building that are owned by Siemens. Oh, that's part that. is-
So this could be a significant spend then.
It could be, but that's what I'm trying to say, like, I don't have an answer for anybody here. I'm trying to tell you where we're at with it and let you know that I'm working on it and that we're gonna come back and have another discussion, because one of the reasons that I get quite upset, it's not so much the heat, I can put electric heater in and stuff, but it's the ventilation in the winter time. What happens is now we're using the radiant heat, which is warming the truck, which creates condensation, and I don't have ventilation. My building turns into a rain cloud, and it starts raining down off the ceiling. That's the part that makes me angry, because I don't want that.
Is
to
it
happen.
a fall hazard, slip hazard with wet?
Well, it's already there, but it could be a corrosion issue.
Sure.
It could be, you know, it's bad for the trucks, bad for the walls, could be
Yeah.
electrical connection that's in the junction box, it's
It's
getting
just gonna deteriorate.
deteriorating.
Right.
So those are things that, you know, I worry about for our facility.
So when did you finish this building?
17.
17, you know.
And who did that HVAC design?
M&E
M&E
Mechanical.
did that
Yeah,
original design?
correct.
Yeah.
And the original design never worked properly. That's what I'm
It
hearing you say.
did actually for a few years, up until when
What's the
Adobe
Flash
Flash
thing.
was no longer supported, that software then went out the door.
It's not cloud-based at all.
It is cloud-based, sort of. So they have the ability to come through a IP address that Tyler set up for them to see what's going on here.
They can be.
Yeah,
So
so,
let me continue down my
okay,
thought here. So you completed in 2017. M&E designed the system at that point, and they were using the Adobe software to control the atmospheric conditions in the building.
So they just, the base of the designs was Siemens HVAC program,
Which was the Adobe.
Right.
which used Adobe Flash as one of their backbones as part of it.
And subsequent to that, you purchased an alternative system for $8,500.
well,
From Siemens.
from
from
Siemens,
Siemens.
Some kind of patch to make it. work.
Yeah.
right,
Cause we were, I think the town was running this on an old computer that still had Adobe Flash on it, right? Cause if you don't, if you didn't upgrade to like, whatever, Windows 10 or Windows something.
it was some.
But none of that software is supported, so it's just full of-
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a tech issue.
Yeah,
So then you purchased a fix, we thought, from Siemens.
Correct,
And 2000, did you say?
no, actually just last, beginning of 22.
22.
Yeah.
So what you're doing now then is exploring the recourse we have against Siemens
Right.
to rectify this situation.
$8,500 is all you're looking at. I mean, that's our,
That
our
would
exposure.
$8,500.
Yeah, we did,
Yeah, that's
you're
right.
looking to maybe get
Something
somehow
different.
some accommodation from them because it didn't work.
it didn't work.
Right, right.
And replace them.
Something has to be done. You know, I don't.
So you're looking at the recourse from Siemens.
Correct.
And they should be under warranty anyway.
It is still under, well, it just came off warranty, but because it's been going on
Yeah,
for so
it's an ongoing
long,
issue.
it's not like,
For the year
yes,
that we've been operating since they installed it, we've been having some issues, so
correct.
probably theoretically, it'll fall under the warranty period.
But
And
the warranty will
Siemens
just,
should provide some remedy for this situation, I would think. And that's
Yeah,
probably what Chris Nadler communicated to you also.
well, look, I give him the information, I'm waiting for him to say, how do we respond?
Yeah, okay.
but Siemens exposure is $8,500 on it, so it's not gonna be all the sensors.
No, it's not.
Right, so yeah, I mean, that's
It's-
our only recourse, right?
But the sensors work as long as the system works.
Right,
Sensors could be fine as
But they're
long as they
proprietary.
would. Yeah.
right, so like this, I'm not kidding, like, you'll be here and all of a sudden you're like, you'll hear the fan die down. I'm like, okay, you'll walk out there, and the VFD will be off. which is controlled by Siemens. So if you have variable frequency drive,
Mhm.
it will be controlled by Siemens, it'll be off. And typically, I should be able to go to the VFD and put it in hand
Man,
and ramp it up,
yeah.
but you can't, it like locks it out. Like it's just done.
You better with a Google Home with it. Mike.
They ought to send somebody out to take a look at the problem.
So I call a number. I have to look, because I have to document everything. If I don't, I'm not getting that documentation, I have to wait for someone to call, and they call somebody, and yes, it's nasty, but there's this documentation that we do to keep saying there's an issue. So I agree. So that's where I'm working on that, just in some time I'll come back to the committee with what they need a solution.
Better yet, maybe you won't even need to come back to the committee and you'll resolve it with Siemens.
That'd be nice, John.
I'm
Let's see.
optimistic.
Okay,
Have you talked to the other 3-4 communities that have the same system? If they've had issues?
no, but I talked to Emily and they had communities say get rid of it. They're working out with other municipalities to remove it from their
Their
buildings.
solution was get rid of it.
Right.
And that's the
They may
sensor thing, you have to replace sensors depending on the software you put in.
Yeah, that's
Just don't know.
we don't know if the
Yeah.
sensors will communicate.
Don't know how many layers deep it goes.
Right, so, but you would guess layers deep because that's their money.
Right, yeah, exactly.
But it is nice warm in here today, but what was it, Wednesday, it came every year and I'm like.
Roller coats.
It's 64 degrees in here.
We have to change that, no, we can't, we can't upfront like that.
You know, so that's what's going on in HVAC.
It's a shame.
The SALT program, we can, I'll come back to you on that stuff, it's not any major, but we're making progress, there's been several meetings with the DOT. One thing I will say is the city of Kent was part of the grant program, I'm sorry, David, I talk like you guys know what's going on, I apologize.
That's all right.
Kevin O'Leary received a grant to help offset costs to town of Gorham, town of Canandaigua, and the city of Canandaigua to reduce chlorides going into the lake. So a year ago, we started experimenting with, actually 21, we started experimenting with not brine yet, but live edge blades. So what I mean by that is instead of a 4-foot piece of carbide like this that's going across the road, we have segments that with springs on them. And they all
Move to the roads.
to the road surface to remove more of the snow and slush and water that's on the road. We started with that with one plow 2 years ago to start see how it would work, and it works well. So from there, we started working with the vendor who's locally in East Bloomfield, who's been designing these. We've been like the guinea pig, the town has, and we've been testing each different brand, and now we're to a point where like all the trucks have them. And doing so, this grant is paying back 80% of these blades, we put in 20%. But we're also talking about using other liquids to help use less salts on the road. The city is going to purchase a skid mounted unit for your F550, it'll spray brine onto the road. It's gonna be a trial, we're gonna work with them to see how it works, when you apply, because with brine, it. Humidity is a big, and dew point are a big concern, if it's humid. It becomes super saturated and then it could freeze. So it means it takes the salinity of the brine, humidity. Breaks it above 22.6%. And then it becomes too unsalty, for lack of a better term, and then it'll freeze. So humidity and dew point are two things that we have to keep track of when we're testing this. Working with the state on getting brine from them. So if we bring a ton of salt, they'll make us like 10,000 gallons of brine. The brine maker, no charge, they'll just make it for the municipalities. Then we're also using our liquid de-icers. We currently use a magnesium chloride. It's blue salt. It's really not blue, it'd be diet blue. And we use that when the temperature gets about 25 degrees out and dropping, because it lowers the freeze point of the brine that we're making on the road. We're also working with Rexroth, which is our controls that we purchased for our sanders. And we're gonna start using more of the equipment to gather better data that's out there when they're in the field. And we're also looking to tie in what's called a road watch. It's a thermometer, it's infrared that shoots to the ground to tell the temperature of the road, to then tell the computer and the Rexroth system to tell how much salt should go out the back. We're trying to find ways of using the technology we have to reduce the chlorides going to the lake.
Is it GPS driven? I mean,
We have GPS on all the trucks.
so you know how much whatever material you're putting down.
Yes and no. Sometimes the switch will go a little funky.
Mhm.
Okay, because it has to have a hydraulic pressure push up against it when it's on, and the switch gets a little off. It doesn't always, it's not as bad, but it's not good.
Mhm.
So I mean, there needs to be some work on that, to know. To know whether they're salting, not salting, but when it comes to when you use the Rexroth with liquid, it automatically tells it to scale back,
Mhm.
because you're now at liquid salt.
Mhm.
So you don't necessarily need 300 pounds lane mile, it'll go back to 200 pounds lane mile.
Can you, with the humidity issues, can you use the brine on like a day like this, or it's 50 and then all of a sudden 30?
You can't use it before rain or after rain.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
so this sort of situation would not have been something we could use.
well, no, because of rain, but if it didn't, and it's less than, say, 40-50% humidity, usually in the winter it's dry.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, but if it gets above that, then it becomes a problem with icing up and spray it.
So do you pre-apply that, Brian, or do you just do it just like you would be doing rock salt?
So with the rock salt, we mix it here on site,
Uh-huh.
7 gallons per ton, and we put it in a separate pile.
Mhm.
So we use that when it's colder
Mhm.
to go out the trucks.
Mhm.
Some of our trucks, I have saddle tanks on
Mhm.
that actually we fill with a bag chloride.
Mhm.
And then the guys will turn it on when it starts to get colder, and they'll just start applying it to the back of the truck when the salt is dropping off
Got
the
it.
back.
Yeah.
Okay. We're working with Cornell Local Roads, we're gonna do a program with them. Probably sometime in late February with the 3 municipalities with everybody, all the employees. For discussing with them what we're looking to plan for 23, 24. Because everything we're doing now is just gathering data.
So is this any more corrosive than just plain old? rock
A
salt?
little bit more corrosive to aluminum.
Okay.
Not so much to steel, but
Right.
aluminum that the bag chloride is, but we're not using, but the good thing with, we used to use another product called, Iceman Magic, which was the organic compound of molasses, grain, corn mash, and something else. And the problem with that was it's high in organics,
Mhm.
and we decided not to use that on the
Algae
lake
type stuff.
because we want to reduce not only the chlorides, but the
Organics.
organics that go into the lake. So we've gone to mag chloride to help lower the temperature of the freeze point. So it's a work in progress. There's many things going on to try and. We're not going to reduce the safety of our residents where we drive in, but we're also going to take into consideration where if we can use less here and there, we're going to do that. So.
And the price of salt makes sense.
Yeah, the price of salt makes sense, so, if the brine unit works well with the city and they see good results. I thought I have had is, they make a 3,000 gallon skid tank. And I like to put it on the back of the roll off that we use for trash, and only gets driven for trash, and we use that. Like on a skid, you would pull up on a cable. On the edge,
Yeah.
drive around, and
Makes
spray
sense.
the road.
But Jimmy, you were talking about a pre-application.
Yeah, pretty.
So you had asked whether it goes
Right.
down before
It's
it's,
gotta go down before.
Before.
Yeah.
then you run the risk that it's predicted snow, but it turns to rain, then.
Wash it
Put down is gone.
Right.
So with that being said, is we're not doing brine yet, a couple reasons, I don't have a big enough tank, I have 8 tanks. I don't have a big enough tank in the trucks. And logistically, we wouldn't be able to go very far with a 500 gallon tank, if you put 40-ish gallons down a mile. So we would just be with the city. It's tight, you can kind of go back and forth fairly quick, so we're gonna.
Put a Russell Road.
The last thing I want to bring up is we're gonna put up some cameras. And the purpose of that is to see what we're doing is working. I've talked to the county. Where we all put one at 32 at Hickox Road. We'll put one down at 16. And Seneca Point Road, and then we'll put one north. And the grant's gonna pay for these things. So what we're looking to do is, we applied this material, let's watch the time elapse to see how it works, and do we need to go back out? Okay, like maybe that material we put down will stay there, it'll melt after a first snow comes through.
There's new mast arms in the middle of Cheshire, 5 and 20, do they have cameras?
No,
What are those, are they preemption?
no, well, they're radar. So the state is getting away from loops in the road. Remember the old wire loops?
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
It's
for-
for, yeah, traffic
Yeah,
action.
for traffic controllers. So they're no longer doing loops, they're going with those radar, or they're going with, I call it puck. They just take a puck now with one puck in the road with one wire going out.
Yeah, for those wires got cut.
Well, they get this, yeah. So that's good.
All right, no wonder that signal was.
I
It's a little fast.
You say the nice thing about it, they can change the program we do it pretty easily. They can do it remotely now.
I wonder what kind of software they use.
And the last thing I had was transport facility. I had the transport facility, Dave and John, I'll show you a plan. We have a drawing of what we would like to see really.
Yeah, we
Oh,
did.
you
I
did see
did
that,
see
okay.
Yeah,
So I've been talking with Green County. Orange County. Oh, who else have I talked to? Chautauqua County about scales. And they all have good ideas about scale systems, how they're used. They offer their opinions on the software to use to provide detailed reports. How much was brought in, how much went out, pay as you throw type things where. So we get a feel of what type of scale we might want for our facility, whether it's in 2 years or in 10 years, we can set the facility up for a scale to go in there. I think, are we doing secret,
yeah,
Talk about doing
that's the
secret.
action that at least we're working on to get to you guys, is to get through the seeker. For the project.
And we've probably got what, like $1 million in the capital project for this?
I'll say something like that. I don't have an exact number off the top of my head. We've been squirreling away money for it.
Sorry.
Yeah, I did talk to Caitlin. Earlier last week, and. I think it sounds like sometime in the spring, early summer, that something is gonna be said about the landfill and what's gonna happen, so. She did mention, like, even if they got that part from Seneca, that's only another 10 years before that's even built out, so. You know, in 5 years, it's supposed to close. Or at least, we'll say close to outside agencies other than perhaps our county, but. They are looking at new
That might
ways.
remain an option then that we could still use the.
It's- These are all options,
Yeah.
there's nothing been hammered down yet. They are, I actually did talk to them about glass sand. They have about 10,000 ton of glass down there. And they want to turn it into a sand product. I said, well, talk to the dolomite, talk to the asphalt plants. I go, it's possible. You know, I don't know if we can make the correct gradation, but.
My son works for Waste Management.
Oh, yeah?
They're doing that in Texas,
Okay.
they're grinding glass up for the roads.
Yeah, their glass is not what. The fiberglass companies, like when I say fiberglass, like that insulation stuff,
Right.
cause it's dirty.
Right.
They want from Tomra that seems to sort it and clay it, that's
Mhm.
better glass.
Mhm.
So. I don't know if that's something the county has to work on to make it. Economical, so. But,
What are we looking at ballpark for the transfer facility?
I don't know if we know yet.
I mean, giant ballpark.
No,
obviously.
I'm just being honest with you, I don't think we put a
We
budget
have
together
not.
yet, that's one of the deliverables that I mow the town, so. Well, we're working through the seeker and then we've got all the narratives put together, the space allocation program, that stuff is done. So.
It's a lot of pavement.
it's a lot of pavement,
Yeah,
it is, it's a lot of blacktop. And I'm trying to get numbers like what would the scale cost, what would the software cost, what were the RF feature for the tags for the vehicle cost.
Right.
Stuff like that, and of course, we're taking numbers down versus maybe 2 years from now.
Right, so it might not necessarily be, yeah, this can be an older budget, so we'll just have to, take those numbers and inflate them to some degree.
Can we use Google Home for the HVAC system?
You can really want. Right now, it's a milk house heater right over there, so that works just fine.
There's really not, I mean, there's only one part of that building that will be conditioned, it'll just be that break room and
Yeah.
bathroom area, the rest of it will just be. Regular.
Regular house, yeah.
Can you make the seeker generic enough that it could apply to any final design that we do?
Yeah, that was my plan, was to
Yeah,
basically
get out
just,
ahead of it.
yeah, rather than trying to, nail down that it's,
Yeah,
1,275 feet of square feet of pavement or whatever, we'll just talk in generalities,
Percentages coverage,
try to leave everything,
because your modules aren't that complicated as far as details,
no,
type 1 and type 2.
so I think they put together a list of involved and interested agencies, so I'll send it to you guys, for your look at that.
So that's what's been going on.
Can we include a parking, additional parking off of town hall when we're building the transfer facility? And that's.
You guys, if you guys
Yeah, I
want,
mean,
sure.
I'd like to at least price it out and see, because I know that
We
there's
should
parking.
circulate the campus study back to everybody.
Yeah.
So that you guys can all see, because there were the three things, it's this building, transfer and town.
Yeah.
Right. And, yeah, there's parking needs, there's also need space needs and
Mhm.
court needs and. I mean, I'm not even joking, last Thursday, I think it was, the line for court. Kristen told me they were there till 10:45. The line went out the back door, down the sidewalk. Line of people
Yeah.
standing, and then up the driveway coming.
yeah,
back
that's
up.
not right. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, and they're always locked out, and they're all
Yeah.
parked all down that walkway
Right.
coming down in.
Wow.
ECB happens to be court night, so I see it every time we have
It's-
ECB, and
it's
it's like, oh my
insane.
gosh,
You're still talking about moving forward?
it's nuts.
Well, we have an option, because that was a state law that we got passed, so there is the option if we were to do something, we've also got to do something with fire station number 2, right? And I
Yeah.
keep saying that we could have a multi-purpose public safety building that could be fire separate. It could also have court, it could have a variety of things and a nice entrance to Uptown, that would, thinking ahead like that, we need to talk more about it.
Mhm.
It's in need of major updating.
Yeah, that building.
It really needs a lot.
We can do a tour down there. I've never.
Fire
been
hall
there.
too.
Yes.
That's the one where the door doesn't work.
Yeah.
Power goes out and you have
Yeah.
to drive through it, that's the.
Oh, well.
We do it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just even like the kitchen is from the building was built in the 90s, right? The kitchen looks like it's in the 70s. I can give you an example, the dryer that the guys use, there's no outside vent. So like all the stuff, just the entire wall. I mean,
It's fleets.
it's a pig.
It's-
And it's not their fault. It's the structure. It's not
Right.
done. Like the roof leaks, like you said, yeah. it's-
Door doesn't work right now, but we're.
Help to attract volunteers.
No, and there's other needs in that area, right? We've got a park with no restroom, right?
Right.
So again, if we had a multi-purpose public safety building, it could serve as also a public restroom. There's also a need. The school's right there and they have a need for like a gym, there's needs right there that instead of us all building separate buildings, it would make more sense to have those conversations collaboratively.
Mhm.
We did that story, what, 3-4 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so. We pulled out, dust it off, and just look it over.
When's our next meeting?
Yeah, February.
It's always the like, that second,
Second. So that's,
Second Friday of the month?
yeah, the 10th.
February 10th at 10 a.m. I will not be here for that one, that's why.
Okay. Does that the week of winter recess? No. Following week, the 20th.
20th.
Okay.
I will not be here because I have surgery that day.
So I hope it goes well.
Don't need, I wanted to ask you a water pressure question, but make sure we're done, are we good?
I think we're good.
Would we adjourn?
I don't think there's enough.
Wait a second.
Right.
I'll second.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Right.
Sure. Yeah,
Done, vice chair. It's-
you got it.